Hi everyone, my name is Catherine. I was recently diagnosed with ADHD and dyslexia during lockdown. So I guess I'm just here to tell you a little bit about my story, I guess how I'm kind of living with ADHD and dyslexia at the moment and how I'm managing it. So I guess for me it all started when I was in school. I think looking back now, I was only one of 4 young people of colour in school. So I think that came with quite a lot of, I guess, barriers. How I was kind of treated in school, the kind of stigma behind being a young black girl and, you know, the label of being naughty and things like this. And I think for me, even though I had teachers around me who, you know, talked to me about potentially having ADHD and things like that, I think that at that age, I just completely dismissed it. And I think a lot of it was I just didn't want that extra label of what it was. Academically, I didn't really struggle in school as well. You know, I always kind of picked subjects that worked to my advantage. You know, from doing PE to studying theology to doing art. And I guess at quite a young age, I almost found what worked for me. So the kind of stigma and label behind what it was to have ADHD, I just didn't see myself as that person. And, you know, as I then got older, the strategies that I'd learned as a young person, I kind of just followed through into my adult life. So my life has always been very structured. I've always had a routine. Just in general, I've always done things differently from my peers. But I think I've never really thought about it in terms of I'm really different. I think in my way, I've always thought, do you know what, that's just me and that's just how I do things and that's how it works best for me. You know, I went on to go and study at university. I got a degree, I got a master's, and even though the process of getting them was really, really hard, it was a struggle. Like I said, I did things very differently from kind of how I studied. The way that I would study was very different from my peers. I just made it work. So for me then, when I started working for my last employer, the University of Manchester, that was when lockdown happened. And it was at that point in my life, the complete change in my whole lifestyle, my working environment, is when what I know now, my ADHD symptoms really started to exacerbate. So all of the strategies and things that I had in place, from things like a morning routine, a nighttime routine, socialising, going out, seeing friends, you know, being active, going to the gym every morning, the removing of all of that then really made me realise that actually, okay, something's not right here. What I also noticed in particular, because of my job role at the university, everything moved online. So I went from this interactive, active job where I was meeting people, working in teams, to just being behind a screen for 7 hours a day. And like I said, for me, I just couldn't do it. And I started to really, really struggle just to get through the day. I was experiencing really bad fatigue. I was having sensory overloads. And it just got to the point where I was like, I can't do my job. That then led me to speaking to a number of academics in the university, and a few of them suggested being screened for ADHD as well as dyslexia. And then after I went through that process, I was diagnosed. And I think for me, and what I would say to people, that was almost the light bulb moment of actually realising what the cause was behind my low moods, behind my anxiety. I think in particular, my low mood got quite bad during lockdown, but I think it was just that thing of just not being able to just get through the day and live in that particular way. So I think for me, when I got the diagnosis, it was then about learning, how does ADHD actually affect me? What strategies can I now put in place, in addition to the ones that I've always used throughout my life? For me now, I am quite regimented in my lifestyle. Having ADHD, it's not just kind of one area of my life that I have to kind of work on, it's everything. So that's from a morning routine. So making sure I stick to that every morning, using strategies like things like habit stacking, you know, having, being disciplined with my nighttime routine. So making sure that I go to bed at the same time every night, you know, I put my phone away, and then I guess just then being a little bit kinder to myself with things as well. I think what I found was that, in particular, I would get to kind of point where I would just burn out, and then that burnout would then cause a really, really low mood. And I would kind of get to that point where I was going 100 miles an hour, I'd get burnt out, and then I'd be in a really, really low mood, and then that would last a couple of days, and it was actually really my body just telling me that I needed rest. It was my body telling me that I needed to slow down. After the diagnosis, I then decided to leave the university and set up my own business. And I can happily say that actually having almost that kind of sense of freedom that comes with being your own boss has really worked well for me. It suits my ADHD a lot more. I'm finding that I can manage my time a lot better now. It's dictated from what really works for me. So if I need to go to the gym in the morning, you know, I'll do that first before I have any meetings. You know, if I get that burst of kind of creativity and innovation, you know, in the evening time, I'll go for it, and then the next day I'll start a little bit later. So I think for me, it has been that kind of process of really understanding how my ADHD affects me, implementing and having in place strategies that really work, and then just, like I said, chipping away at them every day. And I think in terms of managing my low mood and things like anxiety, it's just about kind of reminding myself as what are the reasons to why I've gotten here, and really unpicking that. And I guess not recognising that sometimes, even though I might feel a little bit depressed, even though I might feel a little bit low, there's factors that have came in to make me get to that point. So like I said, burnout, taking on too much, going 100 miles an hour. If I've missed the gym in the morning, you know, if I've got a day that's just full of emails sitting behind a screen, it's like recognising that actually that's not very good for me. So mixing up my workload and how I do things. But for me to kind of be at this point now, I'd say I'm a lot happier. My life has more routine and more structure, and I just feel in general that I manage my ADHD a lot better.